interesting sound, those chords, huh? If you don't recognize what I'm playing there, this is a song called Throw Your Arms Around Me by Mark Seymour, Australian artist, singer, songwriter, guitarist, that I just recently became aware of and familiar with. Some great songs. He was in a band in the mid to late 80s, Australian band called Hunters and Collectors, and that was really where the first recording came from. But what we're going to do in this lesson is take a look at what has become Eddie Vedder's most favorite campfire song. 3-chord song. So Eddie plays this at a lot of Pearl Jam shows, and there's some nice cool videos up there of him playing it with Mark. So they, Hunters and Collectors, recorded it on their 1984 album, The Jaws of Life, a couple of years later on another one called Human Frailty, and then another year, the next year later, a third version on Collected Works, and it finally became a hit, at least in Australia. But if you haven't heard this, you got to check it out and check especially some of the videos of Mark playing it, and especially the one with Eddie is really cool. But he uses some chords that are really interesting and very simple and very popular among the last generation of singer-songwriters. So that's part of why I want to talk about this song. Now, Mark usually does his capo at the first fret. I'm going to do it without it, but just want to tell you about the chords. 3 chords in the key of E. If you know your music theory, you know that the 3 major chords in the key of E are E, A, and B, 1, 4, and 5. So this song could be played just using those 3 chords. Going from 1 to 4, back to 1, and then to 5, B. But a really cool thing to do, now right there I was just playing my, again, standard open fingerings for E and A, and then going to B as a bar at the 2nd fret out of the A shapes. But, and hopefully you've seen some of my lessons that talk about chords, the lesson on a chord companion, all kinds of stuff here at Totally Guitars that will help make some of the things that I may gloss over quickly in this lesson more clear. But a really interesting way to play these chords that bring an extra element of openness, kind of a droning sound to them, is you could also play the E's, the A and the B, as bars at the 5th and 7th frets out of the E family. So now it would sound like this. And notice what I'm doing here playing this E. I'm playing it without my first finger, using my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to make a very easy sliding transition up to the A. So my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers can just stay on these strings the whole way. From E to A to B, back to A. Now any 3-chord song that uses 1, 4, and 5 that you play in the key of E would use those chords. Listen to this now. A little different sound. And that is done by leaving the first 2 strings open, not playing full bar chords. But when I got here to A, it's hard to see this from this angle, but instead of this, where I've got the full bar across the 5th fret, I'm only playing the 6th string, and I've got my finger arched to be playing only the 6th string, leaving the first 2 strings open. So here's what my A chord sounds like from bottom to top. 5th fret, 7th fret, 7th fret, 6th fret, and then open and open. So what I have is an open B and E in the A chord. Now the E doesn't really change the sound of the chord because it's already in there, but the B does. So what this does, it gets us a B ringing in this A chord, which really makes the chord an A add 9. Save that for my theory lessons. Now, when we move this up to B, we keep the same thing, adding an open B and an open E to our B chord. 7, 9, 9, 8, and then open and open. This adds an E to my B chord, which really gives us, I'll let you do the math and figure it out. Got it? Right. Add 11. But this droning sound of having those 2 open strings ring all the time is kind of the key element to this song. So now, if you look at the chart, all you have to do is strum these chords in the order they are there. The introduction starts on B, and when I played it just a second ago here, I've seen in some versions when Mark plays this, he does a little arpeggio there. And that's that's a great way to start this. So what I'm doing there is hitting the 6th string, then the 4th, and then the 3rd, and then going up on the higher strings, down, up, kind of working my way from low to high across the strings, and then just finishing up the strum with up, down, up. The two strokes after the bass note and before the high one don't really matter. You could play them in any order, like I did there sometimes. I could hit 6, 5, and 4, or 6, 4, and 3. Doesn't really matter. The important thing is that on the and of beat 2, that up is across the highest string, so you're kind of hearing that note accented. Other than that, you could just strum it with a standard folk strum. Down, down, up, down, up. Going from E to A, back to E, and then up to the B. You can make it a little bit more intense by just strumming twice as fast using nothing but down, something like this. Now what I'm doing there is hitting 8 downs in the measure, but accenting the 1st one, the 4th one, and the 6th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 1st, 4th, and 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll do that a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The accented ones are across all 6 strings, and the unaccented ones are more just on the bass notes again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are all the types of things you can do in strumming songs. Now again, I have a lot more songs up here that go much more in depth into various strumming techniques and things like that, but there's a couple things to just get you started with again, a pretty cool and fairly simple campfire song. So really quickly, we'll just run through the sections. In the introduction, we go from B, or I could have been doing the arpeggio, to E and then to A for 2 measures. And again, B to E and 2 measures of A. And I could switch strums to this, go a little folkier. I will come for you at nighttime. I will raise you from your sleep. That's pretty much what happens there. 4 lines of that, except the 4th line, it changes. It goes from E to A to E to B. You can see the first 3 are all the same. In the 4th line, he goes from E to A twice. And that's because we have a couple extra measures of B thrown in there, then the B. And that leads into the chorus, and the first line of the chorus is the same chords. We may never meet again, so shed your skin and let's get started. Jumps up to B, and then gets into the last line, which is our E to A, and 2 Bs. So the best thing to do is listen to one of the great videos out there and figure out when and where he's going to every place and just play along with him. We really just have 2 sections, a verse and a chorus, and don't forget he's capoed at the 1st fret. So that's it. That should be enough info for you, especially if you know and like this song, for you to be able to piece it together and do a good job with Throw Your Arms Around Me.